What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow decoders around the world, wherever you may be, my name is Logan, and this, of course, is Decode Your Reality. And today we're going to be breaking down and decoding Astro Alchemy. Now, this is something very new. I'm going to be bringing out some new pieces of the puzzle for all of you to decode yourselves from the decode called Astro Alchemy. I've been wanting to do this for some time. I have brought out onto the world stage this system a little bit through my What's Your Question, but I'm going to go really into detail. And first and foremost, I'm going to be utilizing astrology. Okay, that's why this is called Astro Alchemy. We're going to be alchemizing many systems through this presentation. So this is more of kind of a tutorial, but this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to show you how the source code plays out through us as human beings using these mystical art esoteric platforms. So astrology is the stargate, the portal to get here down into this reality right there. And then we come on to the dance floor, the black and white checkerboard floor, which just means duality, the right and left hemispheres of your brain, the left and right eyes. It's the black and white. And this zodiac wheel represents the 12 tribes of Judah through theology, because theology is astrology. And then we get into the alchemical elements. And the 12 astrological signs are matched up with the first 12 alchemical elements. And, you know, magnesium is going to be linked up with Pisces. And then, you know, like we start with Aries, the first sign, we start with the first alchemical element called hydrogen. Hydrogen goes into helium, and we get into Taurus and Gemini and lithium, et cetera, et cetera. We go all the way around. And then in the middle, we have the bullseyes. We have 13, 26, 39, 52. I'm going to show you why that is. Starting off with the 13, aluminium. You can call me Al. And 13 is going to have an average atomic weight of 26.982. 26 is going to be tied to iron in the blood, and Adam and Eve is 26 in numerology. So this is going to be very, very important. This is light coming down to play the game right here, and it forms the DNA. So we're also going to synchronize the cards of illumination with these systems, astrology and alchemy. They fit in perfectly with this. So you can now find your birth card. Essentially, all 4 suits will fit in the first 12 or 13 zodiac signs and the periodic table. So those of you that are Ace of Hearts, you're going to be tied to hydrogen. You're going to be tied to Aries. So what you end up wanting to do is you want to see, do you have any planets in these houses? And then using this methodology, you know, maybe going and reading these cards, and like if you have a lot of planets in your house of Aquarius, it doesn't matter if Aquarius is there or not, maybe you need to go read the Jack of Hearts, and maybe you need to be cautious of your sodium intake, whether you're deficient in it or you have too much. You know, too much salt can cause high blood pressure, hypertension. So if you have a lot of planets in your 11th house of Aquarius, maybe that's by genetic design for you, and you got to pay attention to that. I'm just giving you some examples of possibilities. I'm not saying these are absolutes, but these are things that I would definitely take into consideration. And then bringing a third layer in, or fourth layer, we now have the tarot. Remember, the cards of illumination, these came first. Through my research and history, these came first, the tarot came after. But the tarot has its value because we can now get a picture. We think in pictures. So we go beyond the numbers and symbols of the suits of the cards, and now we get into, the pictures, what these things are expressing. And then you can see through your alchemical element and your zodiac sign. You're going to be all 12 zodiac signs. That's why astrology, like people say, well, what's your sign? Well, you're all 12. You're not just your sun sign, folks. You're all 12 because this is your eyeball, and I'm going to get into that. But we can also properly synchronize the tarot in there to get the picture. So that's the 3 layers, 4 layers that we're going to be breaking. We're going to bring in some numerology as well. But let's go back and start with the basic fundamentals here. The first 12 of the round table, the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 tribes of Judah, the 12 apostles, etc., etc. And we can go back and start with this heart suit. Now, this heart suit represents fire through the cards of illumination. In the tarot, it's not going to represent fire because the hearts are going to be cups, and cups come after the wands, and cups are going to represent air. If you properly synchronize it that way, because wands would be the first tarot suit, which is going to represent fire. So they're going to have a variation. But using this system right here, how I learned it, the hearts are fire. But essentially, you could put the spades right here if you wanted to. But this is how we properly synchronize this on round number 1, stage number 1. We have the heart suit, and all the kings are going to sit in the middle. The King of the Jews, the Christ, sits in the middle, okay, to hold it all together. And then we go to the second round, and now we have an extension. So we go from the middle, once we go from the 1 through 12 and magnesium, and we go into 13 in the middle, we now have to go to 14, and 14 obviously is going to go here, and it's going to extend upon hydrogen, Aries, and be silicon. And, this element right here is tied to the future. This is, as well as 31. So there's going to be many variances to this, but the starting point of it all is tied to the future. Silicon, Silicon Valley, technology. Technology paves the way for the future. It's really interesting. It leads the way. Aries leads the way. And then these just go around. Phosphorus is 15, sulfur is 16, chlorine is 17, etc., etc. And then we go, and now we get the second suit of cards, which is the club suit, representing air through this methodology. And now we have, if you have one of these birth cards, now you know what zodiac sign you're tied to. So, you got to look at your zodiac signs. If you have any planets in these houses and your card sits in that wall, then this means you're really dialed into these houses, these numbers, these alchemical elements. And then we go to the third round. And now we extend beyond the 13, the 26. Now we go to the 27, and then the 28, 29, 30. We go all the way around until we go to 39 in the middle. And then this is going to lead to the diamond suit. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. See, in the tarot, diamonds represent Earth, but Lucy in the sky. Well, we're on the ground. We're on the motherboard. We're not in the sky. So Lucy in the sky means the water above. These represent water. Fire, air, water. Lucy in the sky. The firmament that separates the waters from above. And now you get the diamond suit. And again, the kings all sit in the middle. Card 39. This is tied to Lucifer right here. Okay, so now you know what card you're linked to with round number 3. And then we get into the last round. Now we have all 4. The 4 worlds can fit into here. There are many ways you can start to break this down. And then you get into, we get into prison planet. Why I have it, because tellurium is the 52nd element, and what you'll notice in the middle of the bullseye is 52. Because 51 is here and then we got to go in the middle to 52. And then 53 would be here. You can just keep going. 53, 54, 55, 56. You can keep going, and I'm sure some of you will do that. But tellurium is where I stop because it's the 4. 4 is the cube, squaring the circle. Tellurium comes from the Greek or the Latin word tellus, which means earth. So this right here represents earth through this methodology. And then you get into the last suit, which is the spade suit. Now, why I feel this is properly synchronized is because this King of Spades is the 52nd card in the deck. And he rules the earth because spade means man. That's why it's pointing up, because you want to go back up. Hearts points down, spades points up. So the 52nd card in the deck, the King of Spades, running the earth, the king of the earth, holds it all together. And again, you could change these and put these as the first suit, and you can put the hearts as the last suit, but nonetheless, this is how this is going to look. And you're going to get all four there. So this is what this looks like for all of you. So you know what your birth card is, your spirit card, and there's a lot of other things, your karmic cards, your planetary ruling cards, etc., etc. And you can have a lot of fun with this. And you can start to break down your life when you start to look at the charts and the card charts and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so this is really what it comes down to right here, ladies and gentlemen. Why I know this is really accurate, because the zodiac wheel, having all 12 zodiac signs with the al in the middle, the illumination, aluminum, okay, representing the sun. Aluminium is the 13th element. The word soul, which is another word for the sun, is 13 in numerology. But it comes down to this polygonal shape called the decagon. The decagon is a 12-sided, representing the 12 zodiac signs, polygonal shape. And here are the measurements for this polygonal 12-sided shape. It's got this 150-degree measurement here between these two slices of pie, and then these obviously are 30 degrees. And this is perfectly aligned with astrology, because in astrology you have 12 houses. Each house is a 30-degree span. Each one of them, each sign is 30 degrees through astrology. And these are the two elements that you can synchronize with these measurements. The 150, this samarium right here, I have it as 151. Let me just show you that so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. You see, samarium is average weight is 150. But the most abundant right here, here's the natural abundances. The most abundant is 151, which is the 36 prime number, which is going to be tied to operating. There's the 26. Remember, the 26 is tied to our blood, iron. So it's spirit coming down and becoming man or woman. Okay, samarium, and this is tied to life is but a dream. So you would have the 150 would be samarium, and then the 30 degrees can be represented through phosphorus. And this is tied to Lucifer, because Lucifer is the light bringer, bringing light to the world for the motion picture to start to take place. And now you get into the devil, because the world's run by the devil, which is nothing other than light, because we're playing the light game. That's what this whole thing's all about. This polygonal shape is everything through these methodologies, the decagon, the 12-sided polygonal shape. And I'm going to support this. Why this is so important here. So moving forward, this is what it looks like with the web of alchemical elements along with the astrological wheel, okay, with the bullseye in the middle. And if we do the numerology of samarium and phosphorus, instantly and automatically we get a very big clue, which is the number 76. And 76 is tied to this element right here called osmium, the Wizard of Oz. I hope everybody here has watched my Wizard of Oz. A lot of you, that's one of your favorite decodes. It was a pretty awesome one, I thought. The Wizard of Oz, because the Wizard of Oz is the Stargate, the portal. This zodiac's, the wheel right here, is going to fit through this right here, the cyclone coming down. This is going to fit right over the top of Earth, and this is us coming down to play the game, or God coming down to play the game, or Spirit coming down to play the game, or an angel that's tied to you coming down and playing the game, or whatever, however you want to look at it. But you see, when you take all 12 of these alchemical elements tied to the 12 zodiac signs, and then you include the 13 in the middle, which is going to be tied to the Christ, which is you, and you add them up using the trusty calculator, there it is. Bam! Right there, 187. Osmium has several atomic weights, but 187 is one of them. And instantly and automatically, just like that, we have the connection of the 76 and the numerology of the decagon tied to alchemy. Just like that with astrology. So I know that all this stuff right here, folks, has a massive amount of merit. Okay? And you got to know what your cards are and your alchemical elements, etc., etc. Going further right here, we also have Ra. Can't leave out the sun god Ra. You'll notice that the weight of all these alchemical elements, all 13, equals 187.226. So on the feminine side of the decimal, this is the feminine side, this is the masculine side, 226 is the weight of radium. This is its most abundant. Its half-life is 1,600 years. 226.025, but the average is 226, and there it is. So we have the Wizard of Oz, and we have Ra, radium, the 88. And if you extend upon that further, ruling over this reality now, we add up the protons of these two, and look at what we get. We get 164. And it goes right back to alchemy, and we now have a connection to not just any element, ladies and gentlemen. This is the most magnetic element on the entire periodic table. So in the context of what I'm showing you here, light becomes magnetic. It comes down into the hole. Spirit slows down into physical matter. It becomes carbon, which is the 666 below, which is us. And now it becomes an avatar, but it becomes very electric through the circulatory system of being a human being. But this thing right here is very magnetic. The stars above us, the constellations, the zodiac signs, it's very magnetic. It makes up a magnetic pull on the human being experience. You know, we have 64 possible codons in our DNA. This is 164. Then you get into the story of the 100 coming down here. The CW did a great job with that show. The 100. This is 164. 64 tied to our DNA. Okay, so very magnetic. 67 is the 19th prime number. What is the 19 tied to? The sun. The sun would be here in the middle, right there. And if you just look at it through this right here, there it is. This would be holmium. It's the sun. John 3:16, God gave up the only begotten Son, the Savior. That's you. That's me. That's everybody playing out the Jesus Christ superstar experience. That's how this works right here. And you're going to be ruled over by the Stargate. And it's the Wizard of Oz. And it's Ra. Okay? And when you extend on this even further, when you add up the masculine and feminine sides from these 13 alchemical elements and the 12 zodiac signs with the king in the middle, you get, look what you get. You get a permutation of pi. It's 413. It's a number anagram. It's the mirror of pi. And this is really important because if you really mirror it and you add it up, you get 727, and look at what number it comes out to. It's the freaking 129th prime number. Why is this a big deal? Because it's tied to tellurium. And what does tellurium mean? So there's the 129 going back again. So again, it's this Stargate is 413. From adding up all the alchemical elements, adding the masculine and feminine side of the decimals, we get 413. And we want to, why do we want to mirror that? Because we have two Stargates. These astrological wheels here are your eyeballs, folks. This is what it is. It's this. Astrology is your eye. The 12 zodiac signs are your eye. You observe reality through your eye, which is ruled by the Stargate, the stars above, the zodiac signs. And you have two eyes. So where's the second one going to come in? Well, you see, this zodiac wheel is going to be linked to your birth, representing the past, which is fused into your reality. When you came out of your mother's womb, you instantly had a birth chart, and now you have your team that rules over you, the planetary positions and these alchemical elements. And then you have the chart of the future, okay, which constantly moves. The now moment chart. Right now, if you were to go pull the astrological chart, it moves every minute. This controls the future. So the past controls the future controls the past, and then in the present moment, you have the third eye, the inner eye. This is why this has two petals on it, because it represents the future and it represents the past. The Ida and the Pingala, the Kundalini, all this fits in there. And the present moment is tied to Earth. It's tied to Earth, and this 129 is found from adding up and mirroring this total 413 from one Stargate, and then we add up the other one and we mirror it and we get the second Stargate, which is now our two eyes. And I had decoded that through this right here, the two thieves. It's probably one of the most important decodes I've done. I've showed how the cross works, the cube, the Jesus Christ cross, the two thieves. This is your eyes. These are your two thieves. But it's all based on astrology and alchemy. And this element right here is the most abundant atomic weight of tellurium, which means earth. So if I just go there and I show you, here it is. Tellurium comes from the Latin word tellus, which means earth. Okay, the average is 127, which is the 31st prime number, but the most abundant, you come down to the oxidation states and isotopes, and you come all the way down and you see what percentage has the highest. It's 129.906, which is going to be isotope 130. Okay, this is the most abundant. All right, so these are all part of this, this entire reality that we're playing out. But the present, past, present, and future, that's 79 in alchemy. I mean, in numerology. Past, present, and future. It equals the number 79. And it uses us. It uses us through the Stargate, and we're the so below. Okay, all these numbers, they synchronize this way because they're supposed to. This is the source code. Man could never code this. Man never coded it. This is just us decoding it and seeing how beautiful that astrology and alchemy played themselves together, along with the cards of illumination and the tarot. Okay, so this is what we're looking at, and then you can clearly see that it gets it. Have you seen my prison planet series? This is the 52nd element. We go right to numerology, and you see the prison is you. You're in prison. Your body is a prison. Your soul, your spirit, whatever that looks like, it slows down into carbon and it becomes an avatar. It becomes you. You become what's your identification? Can I see your ID? What's your name? Your birth certificate name? All the fusing of the astrological placements. You're now in prison, and you got to have fun with this. And, you know, prison and planet are both 26. And when you go back up here and you look in the very middle, well, Al is 26. You can get to the second layer. It's actually going to be in the second tier. So there are many ways to look at this, representing the two eyes. But these are no-brainers right here, ladies and gentlemen. So the past and future are tied to your eyes. And the third eye is going to be in there, the inner eye. Okay, let thy eye be single. So that's how this works. Astrology is your eye, folks. That's alchemy. Okay? And you're in the prison planet 52. All right. And then when you realize that you're in the body, which is a prison, and you got to have fun with this, you realize that you are Jesus Christ, having the Jesus Christ superstar experience, carrying your own cross. And it's a solo journey, and you're not here to save anybody. Your job is to release and save yourself, to learn, to correct the things in your life, to go on this journey, and you do it through owning the space of being a human being. You know, your code is very case specific. You're going to have specific placements in these astrological charts. It's very case specific to you. No one else has your code but you. And, you know, Jesus wore the crown of thorns, and this crown right here is going to fit right inside that. I showed this in my aluminium. There it is. You see, if you go in the mirror and you look into the mirror, you're going to see in your eye, you're going to have this jagged line, that this crown that goes all the way around your pupil. And it's going to fit right in there. Okay, it's going to fit right inside there. You can see it right in this eye as well. It is. You are the Jesus Christ superstar. All right, and you're carrying your cross, and you have to own that space, folks. That's just why I say be the best little devil, because you get the black sun right here. All right, you are the devil. You sin. You can't help it. Okay, but that crown fits right in there, pretty crystal clear. And when you finally come down and become a fleshly being, you enter the game. Enters 21, and now you get the picture with the tarot, and now you enter the world. And this is the Stargate. This is the portal for astrology. And when you bring in mathematics to get another further layer of this, well, the 21 through the string of pi occupies the 93 and 94th decimal digit. When you add up 93 and 94, you're going to get 187, ladies and gentlemen. We go right back to this element osmium, the Wizard of Oz. So you can see how mathematics and the string of pi, and pi is this. It's the earth. It's the perfect circle. The measurement of that. And there are several ways to do it. 3.141, you can do the Jane 108, 3.144. It doesn't matter. It's still going to lead to the same kind of origin. And you enter the world. And now you enter flesh. And now you ain't getting out till you die. You're in the prison planet, which is your body. You got to have fun with this. So if you haven't seen my Illumination Decoded, this is one of my favorite ones I've come out with personally. Check it out. I broke down all the Christ stuff a little bit further. But let's go back to this, this decagon, this 12-sided polygonal shape, representing your eye, representing the 12 zodiac signs, the pupil in the middle, the sun coming down, and the degrees. Remember, the 150 is Samarium. Even I've got the most abundant here because 151 is the 36 prime number, which is tied to the operating system. So I just want to be crystal clear here. Samarium. So it's 150 and 151, but I want to show you how dialed in this is. So Samarium, here it is, and there's the average 150. Okay, but if you come down here and you look, again, the most abundant is 151, 26%, 26 is tied to our blood. But, the interesting part is 151 is the 36 prime number. So taking this 36 and bringing it here and typing in this, you get a match. Okay, and then that's the same as this right here. See, this is what we're doing. See, the human being experience is part of the operating system, which is all now about the movie because it's lights, camera, action. We're in a movie, folks. You're inside of a movie, playing out your part, playing out the Jesus Christ Superstar experience. And you are part of the operating system, 36. System being 20, just go right here. System is 20, carbon is 20, duality is 20, and you have what's called a birthday, which is 20. Okay, so these are all in the same cipher now, all found from this element Samarium. Samarium is tied to the operating system, and life is but a dream, if you've checked that out. So it's going to be the measurement of this right here. And then the light bringer, Lucifer, which brings the light to the world, delivers the light down for the game to operate, and becomes the devil because light is the devil. And when you add up 62 and 15, you get 77. And now you get this element called iridium. And what is iridium? Iridium is tied to Hotel California. If you haven't seen my Hotel Capricorn Decoded, I called it Capricorn because California and Capricorn both equal 34 in numerology, but these 5 gentlemen right here are the band The Eagles. And I showed how they're being used. If you take their birthdays, 22 and the 6th, the 21 and the 8th and the 20th, and you add them up, you're going to get 70 freaking 7. So what is Hotel California? It's the Stargate, which is the as above, and then it's you. This is a match to the astrology Stargate above us. And you're now you're the 12 apostles and you get the Christ in the middle. Okay, and now you get the element iridium. And the iridium, the icon that they use, the Royal Society of Chemistry, is this dragon. The great dragon got hurled down. What do you think that means? It's light. This is the joke. The light coming down, and the hotel is your body. Okay? California is the game. And these guys sang about it. I mean, their birthdays are 77. I mean, come on. Do you think they're trying to screw you over or mock you or pull the woolly over your eyes or something? Come on, folks. They're musicians. Now, they didn't choose their dates of birth. They came together because they were supposed to come together. They didn't have a choice. But it's all tied to the 12 zodiac signs with the 13 in the middle and the extension of the cards in this 12-sided polygonal shape called the decagon. How important this is and the measurements of it. This is how dialed in this is. And the 77. So going a little bit further, what about the tarot cards? Now, I wanted to be very crystal clear here because some of you may know these cards by heart and you'd be like, oh, wait a minute, how is this card 62? So I am using the aspects of the tarot only having 77 cards because Hotel California is 77 and that represents your eyeball. And the reason why I'm saying that is if I come over to the chart, this chart right here is the most popular chart on the world stage. I use it a lot. It's the Fool in the 0 position and the 22nd position. So we have the Fool here, and then it's counted again in the 22nd position, which means that there will be a total of 78 cards. But if I use this spread right here, this one is not using the Fool in the 22nd position. It takes it out, and we now have the Ace of Wands that's moved up in the 22nd position. And both systems will be accurate. Both of them will tell their own story. But the reason why I'm using this one and the measurements of that, because if I go to card 62, here it is, the Queen, right? It would move back to the Knight, but the Queen's going to get the nod on this because of this number 77. So 77 cards in the tarot is also true. And it represents Hotel California. This is really dialed in, folks, with this right here. Found from this alchemical collection here. Samarium, which is the dream, and then light, which is Lucifer. And you got the Christ in there as well. Okay? So this is where we're going to synchronize the tarot now. So we have Samarium representing the degrees right here between these two houses, 150, 151, and it's element 62, and we have the Queen of Swords, the Queen Bee servicing the Queen, and the Queen of Swords being the 62nd card, 62, 63, depending on if you put that Fool in there. But then we have a definitive 15 and the major arcana called the Devil. So you can clearly see that the devil is tied up to phosphorus, and phosphorus through the Greek is Lucifer. So yes, there is this connection. But what is Lucifer? Lucifer means light. So, I mean, when you wake up and you see the sunlight, is that the devil? Well, of course it can be. I know some of you are like, oh no, it's artificial light. No, ladies and gentlemen, it can be that too. But is every piece of artificial light evil? No. You're using it right now to watch this presentation through your phone or your computer. Is it evil? Folks, what you make of reality is going to determine whether or not you use those adjectives. But this is what runs our reality. And this is what we are. Okay? And this is not what you think it means. It's not the boogeyman running around out to get you. All right? This is just how this works. And you got to bring Ra into this, and, you know, and the light of the world into Christ and all that stuff. But you continue on, and you now have an extension on this Queen of Swords tied to Samarium, you know, from the degrees. The Queen of Swords is found from the Queen of Spades. This is card 51. And then we go to alchemy. What is 51? Antimony. What is antimony's icon? The freaking all-seeing eye of Horus, which is Jesus. Jesus is Horus. And you got this inside your brain. That's why you're the Jesus Christ Superstar Experience. Because you are Jesus. You are Horus. You got to go all the way back to ancient Egypt. Predates any Christianity and Judaism. Ancient Egypt does. And you get into the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Oh no, the Boogeyman book. This is what you got right here, folks. And your mind is not your own. We service the Queen. The Queen and the King, but nonetheless, through this context, and this 120 right here, the most abundant for antimony, you go right to do I even have the Genesis here? I don't think I do. Darn, I didn't have the Genesis. Genesis 6 verses 3 says 120 years. But anyway, let's go a little bit further with the devil. Now, the devil is the 15th card in the major arcana, but the 15th card in the cards of illumination is the Two of Clubs. And the Two of Clubs is an air suit, but now we want to get a picture, and just like that, we have the card of the future. This is Elon Musk's card, by the way. So you're like, oh, I knew it. Elon Musk, he's the devil. He's trying to put a chip in my brain. Well, folks, what if that's what's coming down the pike? Like, you know, what if that's what we're moving towards? I'm not saying that it's going to be or not going to be. I'm just saying, what if? Because the phosphorus and the light slow down into physical matter. This is what shapes our future. This is the card of the futurist. This person right here is holding the world in the palm of their hands, got the two pillars representing the Ark of the Covenant, the sun and the moon, and now it's time to figure out what it is you want to do when you come down here and become an avatar. And now your mind's being used. So this person's mind's being used by the Queen and other layers that go beyond this. But the Stargate is what rules over this reality. And you can get serious. There's a lot of other layers that we have to take into consideration. That's how we get the picture and take a look at this stuff. And even when you do the numerology of these two cards, Queen of Swords and the Devil, you get 95. I mean, the Queen of Swords is a direct match, 62. This is tied to the 62. So this is a big deal right here. The Queen. And the 95 is the total. I mean, the Devil's 33. Tied to arsenic, that Jesus and Lucifer will both equal 33. Through the English, they're 74. 74 is tied to arsenic. Arsenic is the 33rd element. So what do you think is the devil? What's the makeup of the devil? Jesus and Lucifer, the good cop, bad cop. Right and left hemispheres of your brain. So spirit comes down and becomes physical man or woman, and now you become the one half of the I am. There's the 95. I am that I am. And I broke this down through my Dios Decoded. And I showed how Tesla said the keys to the universe are 369. Well, when you take these two elements that spell out I am, that equals 369. 369, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty much a no-brainer. Found from this. Found from the Stargate. Okay? This is all tied together here. And then this is a big one right here. What about doing the alchemy of samarium and phosphorus from the degrees at which this polygonal shape contains through the astrological signs now? So we add up samarium, the most abundant weight of samarium, with phosphorus, most abundant of phosphorus, we get 182.894. 182 is a permutation of the 281. 281 is the 60th prime number, which is feed the wolf. But it's going to be tied to this element right here, this big one called tungsten. Tungsten is, check out my superstar Decoded, the big W. So the sun makes, tied to the sun. 74 is the mirror of the 47. 47 is tetragrammaton. They used to put tungsten in filament for light bulbs, the so below of the sun. But there it is, the 182, and here it is. This is the abundance, the percentage of it. I pulled it off the website. Look at the natural abundance percentage of the 182 to match this. Look at that. It's pi, folks. It's a permutation of pi. And not only is it a permutation of pi, but it's tied to the future. Future equals 31 and time equals 14. God equals 14. Satan equals 14. 31 equals future. 31 equals future. So what do you think creates the future? Light does. The zodiac wheel that rules over us, the Stargate, alchemy, all this stuff plays out its role. And so here's the extension of that 31. Tungsten is otherwise known as wolfram. That's why the big W is there. And there's the numerology of wolfram, 31. There it is on the back end, on the feminine side of this tungsten's weight. Right there. And it's tied to the future. So what creates the future? We do. We do. And 14's tied to Silicon. What's Silicon tied to? Silicon Valley, which is the technology capital of the world. What creates our future? Technology. The future. And the future is all about your ride or die. The ride or die. Remember, Jesus was born in Bethlehem. What's the latitude of Bethlehem? 31 degrees north. It's the future. That's why Christ said, follow me into the house of Aquarius in Luke 22, verses 10. We're not finishing the Piscean age. Follow me into Aquarius. And then there'll probably be a book that comes out that says, follow me into the age of Capricorn. People will follow that. It's never ending, folks. This reality, it never stops. There's no end to it. It just bleeds all together. It just bleeds all together. So then we get the picture of the tarot. And again, this is going to be card 30 if you put the Fool in there twice, but it'll be card 31 if you take the Fool out. And again, I'm going off of the 77 cards because of the Hotel California and Iridium. So this would be card 31. And this is fast. This is tied to the future. This means fast moving. What do you think the future does? It moves quickly. Time just moves so fast. And even look at the numerology of the Eight of Wands. 50 freaking 2. And I go back up here. What's 52? Represents Earth. Tellurium. Prison planet. Okay? The ride or die is the prison planet, folks. I don't think we ever get out of this reality. I know a lot of you are probably cursing at me and no, Logan's an idiot, but we don't know. We just don't know, folks. But this is one of the cards that represents the future. It's, if you add the Fool, it'll be the Nine of Wands, which is the Wounded Warrior, which represents that just as well. Which is going to be tied to the 22, Michael and the Dragon. But this card right here, through the Cards of Illumination, is going to be the Eight of Clubs, the 21st card in the deck. And why this is important, we'll convert it right back into the new, the Major Arcana. Bam! There it is. Goes right back to the World card. And this, now we have the portal again. This is the portal. This is the Stargate. Here's the 4 fixed signs of astrology. Here's the portal, the Stargate. And you have this androgynous figure, male, female, coming down here to play out the game. Because we're both male and female. You're going to be dominant, masculine, or feminine, but you're going to have testosterone and estrogen inside your body. That's how all this works. This card right here is, if you have this as your birth card, you have the ability to be extremely psychic. Why? Because you're tapped right into the Stargate. And it's the number 8, which is the infinity symbol, tied to the Taurus field, tied to the hourglass. Those of you that have this 8, this is a fixed card, doesn't move. Very psychic. 21's tied to the word Saturn. It's also tied to the word love. Love equals 21. God loved the world so much, so the sun comes down through the portal. This would be the sun, the celestial sun above our head, to come down to play the game. Like, hey, I'm going to go down and play that game. And the only way you can play the game is you got to be a human being. You got to be matter. You got to be carbon. So you become 666 into the soul below, which is carbon. And then the beast above your head is the sun. The beast above your head is the sun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so what is it you saw during this presentation? I introduced some new stuff. Astro Alchemy. And showing you how we are moving through this portal. And how, you know, the future is the ride or die. And we may never get out. And how, you know, sacred geometry fits into astrology. And astrology fits into theology. And theology fits into alchemy. And we just, you know, continue on. And you can clearly see this is the big bad wolf. Feed the wolf. And you can't help it as a human being, folks. This is what runs this reality. Okay, through this context. I showed, check out my exit decoded. This exit the game, you got to exit the devil. The devil is light. Exit light. How do you get out of the light? Can you even get out of it? You know? But these are all layers to take into consideration, especially going back to the zodiac signs and the Christ. And you are the Jesus Christ Superstar Experience. Your 2 eyes are the prison planet. The 2 thieves. Astrology is your iris of your eye. It's pretty much a no-brainer. These numbers all tied to Ra and the Wizard of Osmium. These are all kind of no-brainers here, ladies and gentlemen. And then your cards of illumination tied to alchemy. So this was my presentation of Astro Alchemy, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to extend upon this as I keep moving through these presentations. But like I say most often, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.